Hey everyone, welcome back to This Printed Thing. My name's Mike, and have I got some stuff to talk about today. Now, before I get into it, I want to let you know that I have a big announcement at the end of this video, so please stick around. By the title of this video, you probably guessed that what we're going to be talking about is sculpting for 3D printing. So here's the thing, for as long as I can remember, I've always been a creator of something, whether it be music, web content, videos. I know I keep these videos pretty simple, but believe it or not, I actually used to be a filmmaker. But then I got into 3D printing. And what was so cool about it was that as long as it could be made out of plastic and somebody else already created the file, I could have anything I wanted. But then I got to thinking, why don't I create the files? Now, you've seen me make things in Shaper 3D, functional parts, basic shapes. But what about the non-functional parts, the sculptures, the little toys, things like that? That kind of stuff is not very easily created in programs like Shaper 3D. Well, through a couple of other YouTubers, I found an application called Nomad Sculpt, made by Nomad. Now, Nomad is not a sponsor of this video, but you know who is? PCBWay. This video is sponsored by PCBWay. PCBWay is your one-stop shop for basic or advanced PCB assembly and prototyping. They have a long list of products and services, including, but not limited to, CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication, injection molding, and yes, even 3D printing. Step up your prototyping with parts and PCBs from PCBWay. That's PCBWay. PCB prototype the easy way. Now back to the show. So now with Nomad, I can make those little sculptures, those little toys, whatever I can think of, I can make it in Nomad Sculpt. But it does have a little bit of a learning curve. I watched hours of tutorials. Okay, I really only watched like 2 tutorials before I started sculpting things on my own. But I've also spent a lot of time in other applications that deal with 3D objects in 3D space. So really what I was trying to do in these tutorials was just learn the controls, what the different brushes do, how they react with other objects, etc. But once I learned how Nomad works, I asked my wife to challenge me, give me something to sculpt. And she told me she wanted a reindeer. Now, I thought that a reindeer might be a little too ambitious for a first project in Nomad Sculpt, but I decided to make one of those little articulated baby reindeer type toys. So I got to work and I sculpted this little articulated reindeer toy. Let's print it. So here's my little reindeer, and I gotta say, he was really fun to make. And this little guy is really similar to some of the models that I sell in my online store. So Nomad Sculpt is gonna be just one more tool in my place where I keep my tools. Now, Nomad might not be for everyone. For example, you're not gonna be creating any Pixar type animations with it. In fact, you're probably not going to be creating any animations at all because it really is just for sculpting models. You're not going to be able to animate your model within a scene or anything like that. But just for making models, your 3D models, your 3D sculptures, this is a really powerful tool. Now, it does have some drawbacks. For example, despite the years that this application's been around, there's no offering for Windows or Mac. It's only on iPadOS, iOS, and Android. So you can use it on your iPad or your phone, but you can't use it on your desktop or laptop. And if you're using it on a tablet, you can just use your finger to make all your sculptures and control all your brushes and whatnot. But it really is easier if, say, if you're on an iPad, you have an Apple Pencil. All right, announcement time. I've been asked repeatedly by people on YouTube, in my store, and other places if they can purchase my models. So I never thought I'd do this, but I've decided to start a Patreon where patrons can gain access to exclusive models that they would find only on Patreon that we've created. And we'll take requests. If there's a model that you'd like created, let us know. So join us on Patreon and let's make this awesome. And if you like content about 3D printing, please consider subscribing here on YouTube. And until next time, fire up those 3D printers and make something awesome.